G'day, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk again today about the FAA's NPRM, Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, the thing that's shaking the hobby to its very foundations. And I have, as I said some time ago, I am going to give you a video very shortly which will try to bring together all the different angles, the different suggestions and mitigations and so forth that will enable you to make a really informed submission to the process, because without a submission, you're not going to have any say, and you just have to accept whatever comes. So you need to have your say. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube right now, all telling you to do the same thing. Go and make a submission. Yes, you do need to do that, and I will have that video out in the next day, maybe 36 hours. I'm not sure. It just depends how long it takes me to get it all edited up and finalized. But I wanted to make this video because there's something you can do right now. Well, maybe not right now, but in the morning when you get up. And that is to spread the word. Now, YouTube videos are fine, but I'm preaching to the choir. I really am. I know all you people know what's going on. So the reason I'm making this little short video today is I want you to get out there and tell other people. And the people you should be telling are the likes of your schools. You need to go. When I was on a live stream with Mike Rollins and Joshua Bardwell, and we spoke about the importance of telling people about the NPRM. So I suggested at the time, I'm going to tell you again now in case you missed that stream, go to your local school. Talk to the teachers who are involved in the STEM/STEM programs and tell them what this NPRM is all about if they don't know already. Hopefully they do know and they have spoken to their classes about it. And if they haven't, you need to tell them, look, this is what's going to happen. You will not be able to teach children in a practical way about drones and models and model aircraft, anything that flies or remotely controlled, because it'll be illegal. You won't be able to fly these things if you build them yourselves without going to a grassy field in the middle of nowhere. Need to get that across to these teachers, and then encourage the teachers to get the students to make their own submissions, because volume is important. We need to have a huge number of submissions. As I checked this morning, there was just over 20,000, I think, which is nothing. I think USA has a population of 300 and something million. 20,000 isn't even a speck. It doesn't even register. So we need to have many, many more people making submissions. And as I say, you can get leverage. If you go to your local school and they don't already know about this, then there may be hundreds of extra submissions from students in the STEM classes. And also maybe civics. Is it civics? I don't know what it's called in America, but political studies. If you've got schools that have political studies, then talk to those teachers as well and say this would be a fantastic opportunity for the students to become a part of the democratic process, which is the submission of a contribution to the creation of a rule. So teachers can talk them through what's happening, and they can tell them what their submissions will do, and use that. So you're going to get as much leverage as you can. Get all these other people working for us, because I think a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people who need to know do not know. So if you go to your school, you could turn your own one voice into hundreds. Do it. Just give them a ring perhaps and say, do you know that this is going to happen? And if not, I'd love to come and talk to you 10 minutes of your time to tell you why you should be taking some action to make sure this doesn't happen and protect the future of the children, their right to learn by practical involvement in technology. That's what we need to do. Anyway, so in the next 36 hours or so, there'll be another video coming up, and I'll list all of it. It'll be long and boring and tedious, and you'll fall asleep partway through, but I'll list all the things that you could say. I'm not going to say you should say them all, and I'm not going to give you a template, because that's silly. I think it's been acknowledged actually by people who know that template submissions all go into the one bucket and count as one submission, basically. So I'm going to give you a few tips and hints how to structure your submission so it has to be looked at separately to all the others. They can't just lump it in with the others and say, oh, we've already covered that. You need to make it very clever. And I'm also going to look at what we can expect to achieve from these submissions. I'll tell you now what I think is going to happen. I think that no matter how many people complain and present very valid and well backed up cases for not going ahead with this NPRM, it's going to go ahead pretty much in the same form that it's been proposed. I think that's the case because firstly, the FAA refused to give an extended period for submissions, which really means our mind is closed. We don't want to hear other options because we know what we're going to do. Okay, so that was a real giveaway, having that when AOPA and others requested an extension of the consultation period, FAA said no, which is basically saying our minds are made up. We don't want to make work for ourselves by giving people more time to put submissions in, which we're not even going to really look at. So you call me a cynic, but I just call myself old and experienced in the way of the world, especially when it comes to government-run bureaucracies. So what is going to happen is that the FAA has to be seen to have listened to the submissions that are presented. And one of the biggest gripes is going to be from the model flying community, who are going to say, we'll have no flying fields. Your freers, after 12 months, no new ones will be allowed, and that means that over time, as land changes use, we're going to lose our flying fields. There'll be nowhere to fly any kind of home-built craft that doesn't have remote ID, because you can't put remote ID on a home-built craft. And so what the FAA, I'll put good money on this, they'll come back and say, we've listened to the concerns of the AMA and the model flying hobby, and we have decided that we will issue new freers. Every year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, we will review the freer situation. And at that time, people can make submission, or CBOs can make submissions to have new freers appointed. And that means the hobby is safe forever. Yeah, right, okay. They've built this in so they can be seen to give a little ground. And that's the way they'll do it. And the politicians will go, see, the system works. They listen to you people, and yes, your hobby's safe. Of course, it means nothing, because we know that so many people today just do not have the time, resources, or whatever to go and fly in a grassy field in the middle of nowhere. And some hobbies like FPV freestyle, there is just no attraction to flying in a grassy field in the middle of nowhere. So this is a platitude they're going to roll out, and so that the AMA will think, we scored a victory, we won, we beat the FAA, we've preserved the hobby, come and join us, give us your money. But in reality, it's not going to make the blindest bit of difference to the new arms of the hobby, the people who like to freestyle, who like to race, and even those who want to put on display flights, because if you're not at a freer, you can't fly without remote ID. So if you want to go to a local school and demonstrate your models for kids, get kids into the hobby, you can't. You can't, because it will be illegal, because you have to do it at a freer. So I think that's what's going to happen. There'll be a tiny movement on the part of the FAA. That doesn't mean we shouldn't make our voices heard. We really must stand up, because the last thing we want is for the FAA to say, well, nobody really seemed to care, so we just did it. We want to be able to say, yes, we did make submissions. There were 50,000 submissions, and this is what they said, and the FAA did not listen. So there we go. Well, perhaps they will listen. Perhaps this will all go away. We don't know. But anyway, stay tuned for the video coming up pretty soon, in the next day or so, in which I will outline all the stuff you should know so you can tell the FAA, and the way you should tell the FAA. That's very important. Remember, we've got bureaucrats there. And one thing that concerns me is the FAA. Well, yeah, let me just analyse this for a moment. Now, I've been watching all the other people that have been involved in it. Well, not all of them, but most of them. I watched the AMA, I watched Flight Test, and they've come back and said, oh, the FAA were really surprised to learn about the hobby and how it works, and this came as a surprise to... No, seriously, come on. You're going to fall for that? The FAA, the people who are responsible for regulating the airspace in the USA, had no understanding of the hobby. And the fact that people were not just flying Phantom 4s at airports, they're flying home-built models in grassy fields miles from anywhere. They didn't know that. Really seriously, I think that if that is true, then you'd have a pretty good case for saying these people should not be regulating the airspace because they don't know what's happening in it. I mean, I cannot believe that, because we've been told on other occasions that there are a lot of people in the FAA who fly model aircraft. Yet, supposedly, these people didn't know that other people also flew model aircraft. No, come on. I mean, I'm cynical. Call me cynical. I'm skeptical is a better word to use. But as I say, this will be covered by the fact they'll say, well, we listened to the hobby, and now the hobby can renew or apply for new freers every 1 to 5 years or whatever it may be. That's what's going to happen. That's going to be their get out of jail free card with the politicians. They're going to be proving that they did listen to all those submissions. Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, so stay tuned. This video's gone on long enough. Thank you for watching. And if you want to make sure you don't miss the video, which I present to you, and also in that video, or one at the same time, I will be presenting my submission to the FAA. And what I want you to do with that is look at my submission, and if you think that what I'm saying is something that you would stand behind, then on the comment on that video, not this one, but on that one, leave a comment saying, I fully support your submission to the FAA, and I authorize you to speak on my behalf in this particular case. And then I can take that submission, and when I present it to the FAA, I can say, I speak on behalf of X thousand people, which hopefully will give my submission just a little more weight, just as they should be giving the AMA's submission more weight, Flight Test submission more weight, the FPV Freedom Coalition submission more weight, And we need these weighty submissions, because if the FAA is going to skip through and only pick out a few, they're probably going to go for the ones that have the most numbers behind them. So yeah, so you need to endorse my submission, and you need to make your own submission, and you need to get to those schools first thing in the morning. They may already know, but if they don't, you need to educate them. You need to get them working for us. There you go. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.